Welcome back, nerds, to another episode of Judging Nerd Culture. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Jess. And today we are going to be talking about Resident Evil. Welcome to Racoon City.
Yes, indeed. Before then, I have just a couple little things that I heard about this week that I would love to share with you all. The U-22 rover, the Chinese rover that's currently traveling the dark side of the moon, recently found in the distance a strange cube-looking chunk of moon, I guess, and will shortly be getting closer to that and inspecting it.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Exactly. Most likely, rocks. But it's fun.
A rock box.
It's a rock box.
An alien who loves collecting rocks.
We can only dream. So that's one fun thing that's going on. The other fun thing is that some researchers in a school that I already forgot the name of and I never wrote it down, have been working for years on something called the Xenobot. Xenobot 1, 2, and now 3, which are all sort of permeations of one another. The Xenobot being the first organic robot, according to what they've been saying. It's a microscopic organism that they've created out of the stem cells of a clawed African frog, which they have been able to cut up and put together using AI programming to create these tiny microscopic creatures that are programmed to move, heal, and now replicate. So there are tiny organic robots that can give birth to themselves by consuming singular cell debris around them. And that's pretty fucked up.
I don't know if it's messed up. It's just progress.
I mean, it's
hopefully in not a world-ending way.
I mean, it's definitely progress. The intent behind the Xenobot line of experiments is to create microscopic programmable organisms that can do all sorts of neat things, from cleaning up plastics in the oceans by consuming whatever those plastics are, breaking them down, or healing people, regenerative medicines, because a lot of what those xenobots are made out of is essentially cells that could become flesh for the clawed African frog. Mm-hmm. And with this new replication function that they've been able to add to it, the idea is that there's someone who has a big old cut in them. We can use this organism, this robotic organism, to put it in that wound and have it grow skin, mm-hmm. and just fill in the space.
So almost like a cousin of nanobots,
yeah.
Which are not real. They're not real.
Not real.
I'm just saying that because I know people who thought they were real. And also scarily close to what we're going to be talking about today. In viruses and science gone wrong.
Yes, every day we get closer and closer to a true hellscape.
To a true Resident Evil apocalypse.
Isn't that just wonderful? But no, that's all I got. What about you, baby? I heard that you found something pretty interesting.
I'm gonna take a sip of my tea. This is the most important news you will hear all year.
All right.
Nicolas Cage, the man, the myth, the legend, will be playing Dracula. Yes, Mabel. Nicolas Cage will be playing Dracula in a movie titled Renfield, after Dracula's henchman. We do not know when it will be coming out. We don't know a lot of information on it. It is still in pre-production, I believe is what it's called. But I am excited and ecstatic to see Nicolas Cage be Dracula.
Every time Nicolas Cage gets on screen, it's a good time.
It's a good time. It's never not fun. We watched a whole movie where he didn't speak at all. And it was fabulous.
He did a great job in that.
It was fantastic. Oh man, I love Nicolas Cage so much.
What an interesting actor.
And I watched an interview one time. I believe it was like GQ or, the videos that are like, oh, so-and-so discussed their careers. It might not have been GQ. I have no idea about these weird magazine companies. But he knows that he's being weird in his movies. Like, he knows he's eccentric, but he likes to. It's, like, fun for him. And honestly, get it, man. Like, have fun. Like, you know you're being weird and you're doing weird movies. Why not?
100%. I would do the same thing if I was an actor who just could do whatever the hell I wanted. Yeah. I would always pick the weirdest fucking movies ever.
You think he lays awake at night and thinks about all the people who have sequined pillows of his face?
I mean, I would.
Moving
Anyways, back
on.
to the topic at hand. Resident Evil, welcome to Racoon City.
Yes.
So, brief synopsis of the movie. The movie starts off with Claire Redfield coming back into town after years abroad, maintaining her distance from the city as she is an Umbrella skeptic, and Umbrella having become a staple, if not the core foundation of this tiny town of Racoon City. While she returns, she notices strange encounters with less than healthy looking individuals and some shady truck drivers and all sorts of, unfortunate things. When she finally comes back to the city, she gets in a hold of Chris, trying to convince him of what shady dealings has been going on with Umbrella, which has brought her back to the city. Shady dealings such as toxic, waste dumping and other dangerous leaks happening from the factory, which may or may not lead to a pretty awful zombie invasion. As I'm sure everyone is pretty much aware.
That's Resident Evil.
It's Resident Evil for you. The rest of the movie takes these two siblings on different paths, as one works for Umbrella and investigates the titular residence of evil, the mansion, and the other finds her way to Leon and the police station and tries to survive the night. And that, I believe, is the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we can talk about this movie without at least mentioning the previous Resident Evil franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that this one is 100% in every way better than the last franchise, because the last franchise had at least one very good movie.
Yeah, and the last franchise was different. Like, it was good with with a good in its own way, because it was more based off the games rather than like the games. You know what I mean? Like, it was inspired. It wasn't
inspired by, not based off of.
Yes,
exactly. And the original, I mean, let's be honest, had some pretty memorable scenes. The laser hallway thing.
Everybody remembers that. Everybody who has watched Resident Evil remembers that. And I feel like even if you haven't watched Resident Evil, you've heard of it.
You've seen homages to it. It's been done a lot through that same idea. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a good fucking scene. So, like, there's definitely some serious quality in the first franchise. But this one, it goes a different route. Unlike the original Resident Evil movies, it's not just influenced by, it's genuinely based on the games. Mm-hmm. There's no Alice in the new ones. All of the prime time characters from the games are present. We have Chris and Claire Redfield. We have Leon Kennedy. We have that one girl whose name I forgot, something Valentine.
Oh boy.
Jill Valentine, that is correct. We even have one of the blonde evil guys.
Do you want me to say their names?
Yes, please.
So there's Claire and Chris Redfield.
Right.
We have Leon. We have Albert Wesker. We have, I said Leon already. Jill Valentine, Ada Wong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are just the mains. I feel like I was missing some, but yeah, there's not that many that are integral, I guess, at least right away.
Unlike the original Resident Evil movie franchise, mm-hmm. this one really decided to stick with the flow of the games, the style of the games, pulling in all of the named characters that the original, for some reason, decided not to involve. And I think, like, I've never actually played the Resident Evil games. I've watched some people play it. I've seen snippets of it. But I know enough to be like, oh, hey, that's cool. I like this guy. I know what he's about. Chris isn't big enough to punch a boulder yet, but he's getting there. Mm-hmm. And, that's exciting. Not only that, some of the scenes from the movie seemed like they were such pure homages to the game themselves. Like they were replications. There was a scene in which one of the characters was playing some piano notes in a certain order because it was the key to unlocking a door. That's a fucking puzzle. That's a puzzle in the games. And that's fucking awesome. Like, they brought that in, which I don't think is a thing that the original Resident Evil movies really did.
No. There were times, I believe, where Alice, played by Mila Jovovich, where she had to, like, figure things out, and things were, like, booby-trapped, or, like, here and there was a little mystery or a puzzle, but it wasn't, like, directly, oh, you need to go find this key or this code or this gem and shove it in this statue to open the secret passageway, Mm-hmm. But Resident Evil 2021 has done that. There's a scene where they're walking through the mansion, and right in the middle of this giant hallway is a bird cage with books all around it, and that, like, you look at that and you go, that would be a puzzle. Yeah. That would be a puzzle in the game.
People who've played it more might have even seen that and been like, I know that puzzle, I know how to solve it, Yeah. Like, there were actual mm-hmm. bits of the game in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so when he sits down, when Wesker sits down because at this point he is just a cop, when he sits down at this piano and starts playing in the notes, you get this kind of, like, excitement because it's, I don't know, a direct callback to the games, puzzles. Like, that's a huge thing in Resident Evil, are the puzzles.
Right. There was a scene early on in which Leon is hanging out on the front desk of the police station because I guess he's a rookie cop and real bad at his job.
Yes, which is a reference to, I believe, game 3?
2?
2.
Mm-hmm.
You
have, like, 3 of them.
Yep. The numbers are difficult, okay?
Anyways.
It's hard to remember them in numerical order.
Anyways, there's a scene where he's just in the front office, and behind him, you see the statue and the staircase exactly like it is in the game when you play. Mm-hmm. I watched that bit enough that I remember it, and that was cool. Like, just seeing it recreated is very fun. So, what are some of your favorite parts, bits, and pieces?
Well, I enjoyed all of the actors. Like, I think they all did a really good job at the part they were supposed to play. When they signed up for this movie, they had to know that, like, it's a horror movie and bits of it are going to be serious and whatever, but, like, it's also, like, we're gonna have fun here, Mm-hmm. It's based off a video game. You can't make it, you have to make it kind of goofy because you know what you're doing, and things that are in a video game or an anime or cartoon, whatever, when they're transferred into real life movie, TV show, it's gonna look a little weird because it doesn't feel the same, like the rules that you can get away or break, the rules you can break in video games and animated things you can't really do in real life because it doesn't feel as realistic. So, they did a really good job at being serious, even when the situation or the scene was a little dorky. And it was pretty great. I loved it. And I really liked all of the callbacks to the video games. Near the end, when they defeat the doctor, the main bad guy, I guess, from the orphanage, they he has, like, hit points, in his mutated body, because of course, you know, he injected himself as one does, you know, with an infectious disease that could mutate your body and kill you. But he's evil, so he does it. And he, you know, has eyes all up in his arm, very, very gruesome looking, which is very true to the games. The eyes and the arm creature. Okay, I don't. Anybody who knows the exact names of all of the different Resident Evil creatures, I applaud you. But that mutation has always creeped me out. Something about the eyes and the way they flick, it just kind of hurts my eyes, and I don't know, I don't like it. But they did it perfectly, I think. And when they defeat him, they have to shoot specific areas, and it was wonderful. I was happy about it. Like, I think I literally clapped when I was in the movie theater.
Well, of course. I mean, I remember him. He's an enemy in, I think, number 1. Like, I think he's the final boss in the first game, isn't he? And
I'm not sure.
I think he is, because I remember watching someone play it on YouTube, and the location was different, but the enemy was the same, and they had to use the same. It was the same thing. I was like, oh hey, when you see this thing, you know how to kill it. You shoot it in the weak point, in the eyeballs. And in the movie, they didn't at first, but eventually they did, and it was great. It felt very like, yeah, we know what's going on. This is perfect. And I don't know, there's a lot of satisfaction in that.
Yeah. And really quick before we move on to, you know, the things that you enjoyed about the movie, I just wanted to bring up that, like, the characters are really cool, and most of them are very true to their character in the games. There have been tweaks, I guess, not necessarily in, like, aesthetic, but in, like, looks of the character, I suppose, which I know some people are gonna be babies about. Like, okay, I'm gonna get right to it. Leon is not a white man with silky locks. He is a gorgeous, I believe Middle Eastern?
I don't know.
Or, I don't know. I'm not, well, anyway, he's not white. And people are going to get upset about it. But I think, I hope I say this right, Alvin Yogia. If there's any fans of him, please help me. I think he did a marvelous job as Leon.
Oh yeah, he did a great job as Pretty Boy Bimbo.
Yeah.
Because that's what he was, and it was great. At no point until near the end, there was no point until near the end where I felt like Leon would have survived unless Claire was there.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. Because, you know, usually you're seeing Leon as this hardcore, like, extreme, like, he's the guy you need. He's the fighter, like, you want him on your team. But, you know, in this, he's a rookie cop. He's starting out. You know, this is before he becomes that superhuman hero that saves the world from the virus every single time. Mm-hmm. And I think it was pretty great.
Agreed. So, a couple of my favorite bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. We've watched quite a few undead, vampire, zombie, you know, whatever movies in our time, and it's been a long time since a zombie movie has scared me. Admittedly, this is very much by the numbers. Like, it's not like, ooh, this is the first time I've ever seen that before. It was jump scares and it was timing, but still, I got genuinely spooked a few times throughout the movie, which hasn't happened in a while, and I'm a big fucking baby. So, like, zombie movies have not been living up to what they could, just on that alone. So I really enjoyed the fact that there was a bundle of times where I genuinely jumped a little bit in my seat. Second thing that I really quite enjoyed was the style, the characters' designs. they looked great. Both the regular characters, the main characters, and the monsters looked phenomenal. They looked a lot more like grotesque, infected individuals than in the previous games.
A lot more disturbing. Because,
Yeah.
like, in the original, they're just zombies. But in this one, they look, I don't know, the weird difference between undead and infected. But there is. And they did look more infected and disturbing in this one.
Yeah, and that was a delight. My favorite one, without a doubt, was Sarah Trevor.
Lisa
Trevor? Damn. So close.
I don't know that.
I got the last name. That's close enough. Anyways, Lisa Trevor, I think she was one of my favorite character designs, just because she was fucking creepy as hell.
Yeah, she was definitely creepy, and yet so sweet.
Such a nice girl. Such a nice lady. Yeah, she's one of the children, presumably from the orphanage that not Wesker. That wasn't Wesker.
No.
That evil scientist bad guy ran and presumably experimented on her, and she became this sort of deformed skin of something else wearing girl, which is horrible to look at.
It was like her regular face was peeking out from this mask that had been made of skin.
Yeah,
And it was
horrid.
so so creepy, and I loved it so much.
The first couple scenes where she was in the movie, spooked the fuck out of me. Her visage was horrible, but the few times where the camera just turns and then the doll that she was playing with just gets put there, awful. That doll is terrifying. It's a fucking Eggman looking, Humpty Dumpty looking ass doll, and it's horrible. But yeah, I just thought she was a great looking character. She was very well constructed. And all the other ones were fun. I appreciated that. It seems like for the majority of the enemies, aside from Big Eyeball Guy and Tongue Guy, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You played the games. The Tongue Guy who lives in the ceilings. Whatever.
Yeah.
Aside from those two, who seemed to be the only ones that were really CGI'd, everything else seemed like it was mostly practical effects, costumes and makeup, and I love that. Practical costume design is fucking phenomenal. It always makes everything feel so much more there.
Yeah, CGI is impressive, and when done right, like, you sometimes can't even really tell that much, but you always know. Like, you can fiddle with it and be as creative as you want, and, be as good at it as you want, but, you just can't make something real. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't bring something out of nothing and make it look exactly like reality. It's gonna feel, or it's gonna look just a little bit off, like a little bit too smooth, a little bit too quick, or because normal humans kind of are, I don't know, not clunky, but there's a certain way that they move, and CGI, it just doesn't always get that exactly right. It's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, it's why it costs so much. That's why people get paid so much to do it. It's very difficult. And aside from it being difficult to create visually, I think practical effects also allow the actors more opportunity to act off of one another. Because when they're acting against this, CGI thing, they're acting against someone who's just kind of there, taking up the space, but aren't. There's not even guarantee that it's actually the actor. They're not actually, going back and forth with their lines. And I feel like that's got to be so much harder than someone who's just in this horrifying costume and you're staring them down in the eye and trying to spit lines back and forth. I think that just leads to a better communication on the screen itself. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the behind the scenes of, Marvel movies or DC shows or Twilight, where the other person is just in a green or black suit with little dots all over them and trying to have a serious connection with that person is difficult. So I agree. I think I think the practical effects really help the actors get into that mind space.
Mm. So, any negatives for you?
Any negatives? I don't know, honestly, because like part of me wants to say the weird shots, like the way certain scenes were shot, but I actually kind of enjoyed it because it gave more of a feel of like a weird video game movie, you know? Like there were certain scenes where an infected person would like move in a certain way and like look up at the camera and it would like zoom in on them, and it was very strange. But playing the first game a little bit, it really looked like like a scene from the game, you know? So like in a way the cinematography was actually so good because they were able to capture that feeling in that like same exact scene from the video game. I think though if I really had to pick a negative, it would be maybe the very end, maybe like the after credits scene, which was acted very well. Like it wasn't a bad scene. I just wish, I don't know, maybe more had been said or done or something, like more clues had been given to as what the next movie might be.
Right.
Because it doesn't really tell you, it gives you a feeling there's going to be a second movie, but doesn't really tell you what that second movie could be of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the whole point of after credit scenes is to sort of seed the next part of the franchise. And I mean, anyone who's played the games probably has an idea of where they're going next, but the scene itself didn't really convey what's going on.
It showed a little bit more about what's going to happen to Wesker and like what his story entails and how it's going to connect with other people maybe. But yeah, it just ended kind of ambiguously, I suppose, just because I mean the people who survived are just, you know, a classic scene, they're walking away from an explosion or whatever. And so it's like, okay, everybody survived, but wait, there's another scene? Okay, so is there gonna be a second movie?
I think so.
You know, so I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of, and I'm really searching here because I really did like the movie. Mm-hmm. People did not.
I guess.
Other people really did not like this movie. It only has a, what was it? You want to guess? You want to guess the percentage that it has?
All right. Is this Rotten Tomatoes, or where are we getting this one on?
This one is IMDb. What's the score on IMDb?
IMDb's out of 10, right?
Yep.
All right. IMDb score. My guess is, so I'm gonna link this to what I have as a critique. Mm-hmm. The writing is very cheesy, very cliche, but that's part of it. What it's supposed, like it's doing it on purpose, mm-hmm. which makes it a little unpleasant. But like it's supposed to be that way so it matches the game. But I think people didn't like that, so I'm thinking they gave it like a 4.
A 4? Is that your final answer?
My final answer is 4 out of 10.
It's 5.6, actually.
Ooh, it's pretty close.
Rotten Tomatoes, what's the percentage out of 100?
69.
You think it's 69?
I think Rotten Tomatoes...
You're very cold.
Oh, I was hoping that Rotten Tomatoes had more fan responses and figuring they would be more into it because of the game, but
yeah.
Farther down?
Farther down.
Fuck, okay. 32.
A little warmer. Still a little chilly. It's still a little nipply out.
Less?
Still a little cold.
Farther down?
Yeah.
Goddamn. Okay. 25.
Warm.
All right, what is it?
It's 28.
They gave it a 28 out of 100?
28% on Rotten Tomatoes and 2 out of 5 on Empire. So people really didn't like it, which is strange. there are some people who say this was the movie that the games needed. You know, this is the movie that should have been made. And then there's other people who are like, you know, I'm bored. This is kind of campy and dumb. Like, whatever. I don't get it. And so I don't like it. But, I mean, you can't please everyone. And
True.
I feel like a lot of movies that we talk about, we end up enjoying for the most part. And then everybody else hates it. We should watch a movie that's really bad. That way we can just rail on it the whole podcast.
Maybe one of these days.
Somebody give us a bad movie that we can rail on.
Jeez, I can't... I'm still honestly kind of surprised it got such a low score on Rotten Tomatoes. I assumed that Rotten Tomatoes was going to be the one where the most, like, people who've played through the games were just like, yeah, I watched this because I wanted to see the game come to life. And then would have been like, yeah, this is exactly what I was expecting. Woo! 8 out of 10. But no, they did not come out, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But people can be picky and posh. So, you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed the movie. I personally probably would have given it maybe like an 8. Maybe 8 out of 10.
I agree. I'm also going to go with 7.5, 8 out of 10. Because it is... If we count it on what it's trying to do, 10 out of 10, because it did exactly what it wanted. Whether that's a good movie or not, that's debatable. But
Yeah,
I'm going to say it's a solid 8.
People wanted the actual characters of Resident Evil in the movie. And they got it. Like, Leon and Ada were in the OG Resident Evil movies for a few scenes in, like, the last movies. And there's, like, God, like 12 of those movies. And in this one, they're all in it. I mean, Ada's only in it for a minute, but the movie gives you hope that there's going to be more, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Fair. Ignore all the other reviews. Ours is the only one that ever matters, like always. As far as we're concerned, 8 out of 10. Real fun time, especially if you've played the original games. There's going to be a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of pandering, a lot of
Oh yeah,
a lot of fan service, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's what it was meant to be, and I think that's what it should have been. So
going into it real quick, I did think that the Dr. Birkin from the orphanage, I did think he was going to be a Wesker, and that the big guy was just going to be a character. And when it turned out that the cop was Wesker, I don't know. I wasn't upset. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, because I like Resident Evil, but I am not, you know, like I don't know all of the details of the lore, and I don't know everyone's like deep, detailed family backstory. So, you know, if you were looking for that in this podcast, we are sorry, because we were just reviewing how much we like the movie. We don't, you know, deep dive into the lore of Resident Evil. Maybe someday, but not today, definitely. But I thought, you know, that's how it was gonna go. So I'm curious to see how Wesker becomes, you know, this big bad from this small town cop who was actually friends with Chris and Claire Redfield.
yeah,
And Jill Valentine.
Yeah, when the movie started, I assumed that he was the other Wesker. But I guess that's...
Yeah, the son from number 5, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Apparently not.
I mean, whatever. We're going to have to wait and see until the next movie, see what actually happens with him. If there is a next movie. I hope there is. Yeah. I've got nothing else to say about this. It was fun. Go watch it if you want to watch Resident Evil rather than play it. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all we got today. It's a fun movie. Go check it out.
Adios.